years leading to Bridgeport, and then from Bridgeport you moved to the city, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was working for Northern Division of United Aircraft. Martin Luther King had come through, and they were looking for a spook to sit by the door in where the president of the company was, in the big area, with all these engineers. And my title was a market statistician because I was supposed to study marketing.
At University of Bridgeport?
Yeah, because a heavyset Jewish fellow who was a CPA and the teacher of accounting, which I didn't know anything about, but I heard this, actuaries make a lot of money, and my father wanted me to be a lawyer. I knew I wasn't equipped, but didn't have no understanding of that, so I was going to become an accountant. And he invited me down to his office on Saturday afternoons, and instead of telling me I didn't have the qualifications, let me see that this was not what I really wanted to get into. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very human person, very kind too. But when at the same time, I was majoring, supposed to be majoring in accounting, and I got hired because the companies then wanted to hire. They had black people working there, but only with the yellow badges, which is factory workers. Mm-hmm. Nobody in the office part, and I could be bonded coming from Texas. They knew I was stupid. All in applications, they ask you your religion. You put Methodist. When you're from the South, you got it made. Dumb overtime. we know you're gonna get his hair cut. You're gonna wear a suit and tie. You're gonna show up in time, and not know a damn thing about what's going on. Ignorant as the day is long about what's happening. What is happening. I'm putting this place where these engineers have all of them got their different cubicles, right? Yeah. And the secretaries for each one of them, they come in on Monday, leave and go to Arizona or Florida on Tuesday, and come back on Thursday evening from playing golf all week, check in on Friday morning, go around 9 and go home at 1 on Friday and go back what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That's what I got hip to. And the fact that I'm supposed to be programming how many encoders were needed in F-111 fighter jets. Not then, 10 years down the line. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
So how did you get from going to school in Prairie View to Bridgeport? And there was also Texas Southern in there, right?
Right. First, I went to University of First I went to Lincoln University in Jefferson City. Two semesters. Yeah. Then they threw me and Hicks out of the school in the midterm. It's just Hicks' father was Reverend Dr. John Hicks, the head of the biggest Methodist church in St. Louis, so they couldn't throw him out. And since we roommates, they let us stay there, right?
Okay.
But I left before school was out because I went to St. Louis to see Dizzy and Train. Which was about a week before school was supposed to be out. Well, I hadn't been going to no class, no damn way. So I come on back down here. Well, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I got the drums, and I'm in the room, and I'm playing all the time and all that shit, but then they put up Sputnik. So that's when I tell you I learned something. Like, I'm a dumbass motherfucker. So I drive on home. And because I told you I was smoking a joint coming across that Trench River, right? And by the time I get here, my mother's sitting on the porch, and I said, "Well, I think I need to go. I need to go to school now for real. I need to learn, right?" Mm-hmm. So she said, "Well, go on over to Dallas and tell your grandpa, So I went over and told Pops, and he said, "Go ahead on, got your back, Mm-hmm. And so I ran into my friend who I went to school with. We grew up with on the south side, a fellow named John Edward Lee.
Johnny Lee?
John Edward Lee.
John Edward Lee.
When we were about 7, 8 years old, I used to let the bat go. And he and his sister were around in front of my house. We were all, some other people, Nicholas, quarterback at high school, whatever. And I let the bat go and it hit this boy in the mouth, and his tooth stuck out there. And his mama ain't forgave me yet. So anyway, it was an accident. But I ran into him, and he telling me about Prairie View. You know, why don't I come on down to Prairie View? Yes. So I said, okay. Now, the transition I missed is I went from Lincoln University. I come back home and I go down to Texas Southern.
Before Prairie View?
Yeah.
Or are they the same?
Yeah, no. Before Prairie View.
Texas Southern.
I go to Texas Southern first.
Okay.
And I enrolled, and my mother had a brand new Chevrolet there, and I was driving it. I had it most of the time I was there. And then I started working so much I didn't need it, and she needed it, you know, and I brought it back up here, and I was working 6 days a week. I was off on Mondays only.
Working gigging?
Gigging. I was working at the Guff Gate Inn, which would be the Guff Gate.
Guff Gate?
Yeah, like G-U-F. It was like one of the first malls in Texas.
Okay.
And it's where these the people like in Brian Irving or River Oaks out there live. You know, it was like in the Plano, Preston area in Dallas, where you know wealthy people live, and these people would come and dance every night. I worked with a fellow named Dickie Boy Lilly, played saxophone. You'd be more like a Stanley Turrentine style playing saxophone. Same way as James Clay. What's the name? Not Coleman Hawkins, but people that kind of laid back, but where people like to do ballroom dancing. I mean, you're talking about a time period when white people who were making nice money would dress up in the evening to go eat, you know, and dance and enjoy themselves. I mean, this is the kind of place that we had. But it was a singer, you know, might sing 1 or 2 songs. It was his group. How did I get the gig? I went down there to Texas Southern, and I checked in. I don't think if I went to 2 or 3 classes, that was it. The first Sunday I was there, I went down to the Ebony Club, you know, because the musicians had told me about it. I got there. When I get to Houston, Styx Hooper and the Jazz Crusaders had just left, going to L.A., so there was this void in drummers. There was a fellow named Banks there who could play, but he had went crazy. And the baddest drummer at that time,
what was his name? Bankston?
It was a fellow named Banks.
Bank.
Right, Banks. Right. But the baddest fellow there, I can't think of his name. I think his father was a bass player, and he was studying engineering. He went to California to study engineering. But what I'm trying to say was, when I got there, the 2 best drummers had left, and with the talent I had, I immediately shot to the top. Was working all the time. So I was working with Dickie Boy Lilly. We worked there at the Guff Gate from 8 to 12, from Monday to Saturday or Friday, and then we worked from 2 to about 5, 6, sometimes 7 in the morning at the after hour joint, which was over in the 3rd ward, maybe a little further out. And then on matinees and shit on Saturday in the club, in the black clubs over in the hood, on Saturday and Sunday. And then me and this piano player had moved in together. Duke was from Chicago or somewhere. Duke, I can't remember his last name. But we moved in as roommates. And I was constantly working. And at that time, when I first got there, I'm supposed to be in a dormitory, right? And my friend Luther Shelton, who does those painting with the eggs, I moved him into an apartment for one while. Then the one over there on the end.
Yeah,
did those. Okay, all right. Anyway, I moved him in and helped him out for a while because he was a veteran. The veteran wasn't getting any money. But at that time, when I checked into school, that first Sunday I went down to the Ebony Club, and Arthur Prysock was there, and Dinah Washington. And the backup band they brought with them were called the Manhattan. And the first time I saw a white piano player with a black group was Joe Zawinul playing with the Manhattans. This was 59 to 60 when I went there, because I went to Lincoln from 58 to 59, and in 59 I went to Texas Southern. Okay, that Sunday I went down. I went down there scoping the place out, and I went down there Sunday because they told me I had a jam session. And I went to the jam session, which is upstairs in like an Elks Club over the Ebony. And the bass player name was Alan Clark. Well, Alan Clark was like the head musician, like Charles Scott was here in Houston. And when I sat in, Alan Clark, who was also a supervisor at Maxwell House Coffee during the day, asked me if I wanted a gig. Now, Alan Clark is working triple overtime, right? He got a wife and 2 or 3 children. He's always driving the modern, I guess, well, then I know he's driving a modern car, bass player, good bass player, more in like Buster Williams type thing, but working all day and all night. This is where I get turned on to a thing called Cosanel, or whatever y'all want to call it, Cosanel. Mm-hmm. It's a heavily laced cough syrup with codeine. Mm-hmm. Now, you could buy this shit in Houston. Here, you could go to the drugstore and get the pharmaceutical brands, right? But in Houston, there were several pharmacies that you carried your own bottle around to, whatever size bottle you get filled up. They put it and turn the faucet on. Well, actually, I was using it. I have to go back. I was using it before, because I was using it Clay when I was working with James Clay in the band too. But anyway, the first time that thing hit me like that was running around with Alan Clark in Houston. We were in between gigs one night, between the Guff Gate and the After Hour gig, and we went to the Purple Onion, which was like a kind of a pseudo After Hour, but in the realm of legit. Mm-hmm. It was the jazz hangout hit place. We go there and we sit in. Now, the drummer, who's a white drummer, now this boy everybody knows, is stoned out all the time on Benny's and Ben's Dream. He's one of the big Ben's Dream acts down there. I mean, a good drummer, just totally erratic. Mm-hmm. He was play his ass off, but that's what he did. He lived that life. Mm-hmm. We drinking this Cosnall. We go and sit there and start playing, and the shit got so. Next thing I know, I'm playing, enjoying myself, laughing at myself, but I'm looking at myself in the back of the room. That's the first time I had that kind of out-of-body experience. I didn't know what to call it then. I didn't have no terms for it. And then I wouldn't tell nobody about it either. Mm-hmm. But it was also during the same period I read something in Downbeat magazine where Dizzy Gillespie was talking about how you can have these experiences. They only occur every once in a while. But what he was saying was the same thing. I knew that's what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. So whatever that was, I understood that. And so I'm down in Houston. My father gets ill. He built his business basically off my back, because I'm healthy, strong, and the reason I knew all them 100 keys on the ring, because I knew when they were put on the ring. I was there when they got put on it. I thought about this after you left last time. When you go check a jukebox, most of them had 3 keys. There was none that had less than 2. You had to know it had a key to the on each side of the top where you put the records in. Mm-hmm. You had a key to the back where you fixed it, and you had a key, which is separate from those, to the money box. Mm-hmm. Like I say, I knew all these, so whatever I'm saying, all this stuff reinforced my ability to memorize, I guess. Mm-hmm. I can also recall one time when me and Thomas Reese was sitting over there in the park. We was working with James Clay. We was living over in Dallas. And everything that came on the PA system, I knew every song by heart, of course. Not of course, but anyway, I worked there until my mother sent me a letter saying, my father was ill, and he had never been on his back before in his life. So I packed up the drums, put him on a train, came home, and ran the business for about a month or so until he got straight. And then once soon as he gets well, he come in, and I can't drive his big car no more and all this other shit. You know, in other words, all right, Dad is back. The business, I have to take over total control again, right? He wasn't doing it was like any entrepreneur, going hunting, fishing all the time. Anyway, the next year, I stayed there, and then the next year is when I go to Prairie View in '60.
Okay.
And I go to Prairie View, like I say, because I ran into John Edward over on the south side, fooling around over to the store. And they live around on Terrell, still live over there. And
on what street?
On Terrell Street.
Terrell Street.
Right, that's where Sonny Benton who drew this. This was like, you asked me before, the street I was born and raised on, Verbena, was the street when I was born.
Okay.
But by the time I become a teenager, Terrell is the street, which is about 5 streets up, because black people are moving in and whites are moving out. And the more they get in, the bigger and better the houses are.